All right, welcome to the 24th floor. We have got a special show today. We're going to start off a little different because a huge, can I say it that way? Huge game is on the line. We're talking about Memphis and Arkansas getting ready to play this weekend.
Yes, it's the big game, probably arguably Memphis's biggest game of the season to this point for sure. And who knows the Tigers better than the inside man for the Daily Memphian, FB2, Mr. Frank Bonner II.
Appreciate you,
yes,
man.
sir. Let's clap it up.
So, Frank, do you actually go by the nickname FB2?
No.
Okay,
if he wants to throw a little nickname on the intro, I don't mind.
You know,
He always hating. Last time he was here, he was hating on my Georgia State. Now he always hating.
That's a simple journalistic question. What name you go
Mr.
by?
Contrarian over here.
Okay,
oh my God, you go by that, Frank?
Let's get into what people really want to know outside of Frank's made-up nickname, according to Richard. We're talking about the Memphis
This is why I
Tigers.
can't give him no RD on that. Because you think about it. Ruben Diaz, Richard Denson, I could easily go RD too, but then he would just hate on it. You know what I'm saying? On RD squared. He a hater.
I'm not a hater, Frank. I'm just speaking the truth. Speaking of the truth, tell us about the Memphis Tigers. How do you see this game shaping up? Because it's a huge one.
Well, I think if Memphis wants to have a chance, I think they're going to have to win in the shootout if they want to win.
Oh, yeah.
Taylor Green, I mean, he's, leading the country in total offense. The battle of the dual threat quarterback between him and Brendan Lewis, but you have to make Taylor Green uncomfortable. You can't let him come in the game and do what he has done these last 3 games and get a feel and get in a rhythm. You want to, Jordan Hankins, he doesn't shy away, the defensive coordinator for Memphis doesn't shy away from bringing pressure. We've seen that in his short time as DC, so I think that may be what Memphis needs to do in order to give themselves a chance to win.
What did you like from Memphis's victory against Troy? Because last week we talked about on this program how the line was close. Troy was only a 3.5 underdog, but it didn't look like that on the Saturday matchup. Memphis just controlled that game for the most part throughout. So were you kind of surprised that Memphis put their foot on Troy, seeing that the line was that close?
Well, I mean, the nature of the game immediately changes once Goose Crowder goes out, the Troy quarterback. Mm-hmm. And so, once he got injured and you knew he wasn't coming back, Troy had no chance. The backup quarterback, Tucker Gilcrease, no disrespect to him, but it definitely was a major drop in quarterback play when he came in the game. And so once Memphis noticed that, you saw what they were doing defensively to keep him uncomfortable. And so Troy really had no chance after Goose Crowder came out.
Well, I'm sure Hankins was very happy to apply pressure when the backup quarterback came in.
Right.
That's what every DC does at that point. Let's move on to, we've talked about what Memphis has to do in some regards, but can we talk about the weaknesses, and I'm probably maybe use that lightly, in Arkansas's defense? Because Arkansas just wants to outscore you right now. They're not necessarily stopping you all the time.
Yeah, right. And so I think this creates a good chance for Memphis to show what they can do in the passing game, right? Because I think Brendan Lewis is going to have to air it out more than we've seen in the past to put that Arkansas defense on its heels a little bit. We saw against Troy, they had a couple D shots in that first half, but you need to see more of that out of this offense if they're going to want to, keep up with Arkansas. And so we'll see how that tug of war happens with the Arkansas defense and Memphis offense. I think this is a game where you're going to see Cramsey kind of open the playbook a little bit more.
What have you heard from Brendan Lewis this week? Because this is an interesting nugget that I learned earlier this week about Brendan Lewis and Taylor Green. Taylor Green's father was Brendan Lewis's first sports coach. So these two know each other, kind of like the back of their hand. So what have you heard about how Brendan is taking that QB battle?
Yeah, he said, he's obviously, excited about it. He said it's a little extra, competitive nature in there because he knows Taylor Green. He also said that they used to train at the same gym back in the Dallas area. And, Brendan said basketball was his first love, which is where Taylor's dad coached him and everything. And so there's obviously, and I asked him, I said, are you texting, Taylor's dad this week or whatever? He said no, but he said his father is probably, communicating with Taylor's dad this week. And so,
be, in a couple of more years when his sons get a little bit older.
And so I do think that when you have those type of relationships that you find in college sports where one quarterback is going against another quarterback and there's those ties, I think, all those storylines are interesting. And the fact that they both have a similar skill set and all that, I'm sure both of them are going to be wanting to get one up on each other.
They're kind of like a mirror image of each other in a way.
A little bit. Taylor throws it a little more right now, I think. I feel like he's, and maybe that's just the styles of offense at this point, because Memphis can really run the ball. They've got a stable of guys who can run the ball. And so that was going to be my next question is, what do you think about Memphis's ability to stop Arkansas's run? Because if you can contain the run some, then that allows you to kind of play loose on the back end in the secondary. But if you can't contain the run, then your safety's got to come up, your corner's got to play tight. Now you're in trouble. Yeah,
and if we're starting that, the tackling has to be up to par, right? We've seen in these first couple of games for Memphis, some of the tackling has been spotty, and so you have to be able to wrap up. You don't want to, get your hands on a guy and then he breaks a tackle and he turns a 2-yard gain into a 7-yard gain or whatever. You have to prevent those things. And so I think, wrapping up is going to be crucial, more crucial than it has been all season if they want to stop that run.
Yeah, it definitely will be a running back battle on Saturday because you got Arkansas has Mike Washington, who had over 100 all-purpose yards against Ole Miss, on the ground and catching. And then, of course, we got our guy Sept Smith, who did his thing in back-to-back weeks, named Player of the Week. What have you really seen him come on? Because this is a guy who is rare. And when I say rare, it's more, this is a guy who went from high school straight to Memphis, never touched the transfer portal, never ever thought about leaving Memphis. And so for a guy to be with the program for 4 seasons, to me that says a lot. So what have you kind of seen from him coming on?
Well, obviously, last year, this is what we expected out of him. You obviously didn't get to see it because he got hurt. Yeah. But you've seen the production just increase from week 1 to week 2 to week 3. Last week he ran for 113 yards, which was 2 yards shy of his career high in the game. And so you've been able to see Memphis lean on him more, which is pivotal because Greg DeRosier hasn't returned from his injury. But I think anybody who had any questions about how Sutton would come back from last year's ACL injury, I think those questions are obviously gone.
Yeah.
He's fully healthy. He's shown with those 18 carries last week that he can handle a large workload, and so he's full throttle right now.
I'm not trying to cause no controversy when I say this,
Then
Frank.
why are you saying?
But you remember,
somebody says,
you
no
remember,
offense, but.
Here we go. I'm ready for
you
it.
remember last time on this program, I talked about Greg DeRosier and his injury. Now he still hasn't come back, Frank, and Sutton is doing his thing. Can we say that Sutton has taken Greg DeRosier's chain and is the permanent RB1? Can we say that?
To be honest with you, whoever's out there starting, it doesn't matter, right? If both of those guys are healthy, both of them are going to get their split of carries. Whoever's actually RB1, I think is insignificant. Whether it Sutton goes out there and he's on the field for the first drive or whatever the case may be. As of right now, it's a moot point because Greg is hurt. But when Greg comes back, I do think that he's not going to immediately come back and all of a sudden be RB. You're going to work him in. But as far as whoever the starter is, I think you're going to look at the breakdown over a course of like a 3-game stretch and see that it would be pretty equal.
I get it, but I'm a Falcons fan, so let me put it like in a Falcons analogy.
Not everything is a Falcons analogy.
You got Bijan Robinson and you got Tyler Algier, 2 really good running backs. But who's the RB1? Bijan. Now, yes, even you can look at the Falcons' last game. Tyler got the touchdown, but if you ask the casual person, the RB1 is Bijan. So that's why I'm saying, looking on the Memphis Tigers, like, sure, Greg will come back, he'll do his thing, get his touchdowns, but their main running back is Sept Smith. That's what I'm trying to get at on that aspect.
Well, I'm going to help you with this one, and then we're going to take a break. When you're going to carry the ball 40-plus times a game, those dudes are happy to split those carries.
I'm not,
because
of course.
So it's only RB1 on the depth chart for me and you. But for those guys, they getting beat up every single week, they're happy to split some of those carries.
Of course.
Yeah, right. And so, but you can make that comparison with, you can look at the lines with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, those guys are getting their touches and it doesn't matter.
It's still a 2-headed monster. I'm just saying Sept Smith is the guy.
All right. Speaking of Sutton Smith, you got to spend some time with him, didn't you?
Exactly. The tape tells one thing, but I got to learn behind who he is. I walked the field with Sutton Smith to get his inside perspective on his prep, his mindset, and what this game means to him and this program. We're standing right here on the 50 with Mr. Sutton Smith, who broke out that big 50-yard touchdown against Troy. Let's just talk about it, Sutton. Tell me about what was going through your head in that play.
Yeah, so I was actually upset because I had fair caught the punt, but I felt like I had time and I could, get a big return. So I'm like, man, I got to make it up on offense. So we snapped the ball. I seen the nose cross the center face, and I seen a big opening. I'm like, just let me not get caught. So I hit the gas, and I'm around like the 20-yard line. I'm just like, don't get caught, don't get caught. So I turned it up a little bit more, and I got in the end zone. So thank God, it was a great feeling.
So talk to me a little bit about kind of the game day rituals. Do you have any pregame routines, any superstitions, anything like that?
So I always take a shower in the dark in the morning when I wake up. And another thing I do is, the first song I play is always this gospel song I played since I was in high school that my grandma sent me. So it just give me some relief and it gets me ready for game day for sure.
Dude, so basically what you're saying to say, don't touch your headphones.
Yes.
Don't touch it.
And when I do touch them, I got to play that song for sure.
Okay, talk to me a little bit, like win or lose, what are we eating after the game? Especially here in Memphis.
Probably some smackers.
Okay.
I love smackers, some hot wings, some steak. And I'm gonna eat great too when we win, but I want to win for sure.
Okay, so now let's go back to music. Who you putting on the ox?
I'm putting Gunna on the ox for sure.
Okay.
Gunna, all the Atlanta rappers for sure.
There we
Gunna,
go.
Thug, Future, yeah,
Okay.
they're my top guys.
So fun fact, me and Sutton both from the Atlanta area.
Yes,
He's
sir.
from Powder Springs, I'm from College Park. So Gunna, Future, Soulja Boy. See, I gotta go Soulja Boy because he's from my neighborhood.
Yeah,
you know, so I gotta go
Southside,
with 2 Chainz,
Southside.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, we getting closer to the end zone, which is a place that you want to definitely find yourself against Arkansas. Tell me kind of how are you feeling about the game? It's a big game, biggest game on ABC for Memphis in a while.
Yeah, feeling blessed, man. Excited for the opportunity, blessed about the opportunity, and this is why you come to Memphis, just to play on the biggest stage. This is why you play football, so, just ready to hit the field and ready to take it with my guys.
Appreciate the time, Sutton. Good luck on Saturday,
thank you.
man.
Can't wait. Yes, sir.
Sutton Smith, running back for the Memphis Tigers. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
See, what a guy that is. What a young man that is. That's Sutton Smith. That's the reason from my method to the madness why I got to hype him up on this program, because I had to have a nice talk with that young man.
That's
my guy.
Yeah, to your point. Everybody knows that, Sutton Smith is a stud. I'm just glad to see him healthy, being able to have the interview, do his thing on the field. And, that's a guy that is hard to root against, right? You're always rooting for a guy like that.
That's Atlanta guys got to stick together. See, Ruben wouldn't know that because he doesn't have no countrymen in this station.
We got to go to break. I will say Sutton has some pretty decent taste in rap in his music, Gunna and some of those others,
Who
Future.
else did
But somebody on this panel chose Soulja Boy, but I'm not.
Soulja Boy from my neighborhood.
Because you did the hand gesture this way. I want you to. I'm just letting you know the hand gesture goes.
It's the South Side.
All right.
South Side. We represent.
Let's say thanks to Frank. Appreciate you, Frank. No Soulja Boy in the ox, just so you know when we're in the car.
I would like to see what's on his ox.
As we go to break, we got to make sure we have something huge coming up on Saturday morning. Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, we're going to be live from Tiger Lane, Arkansas, and Memphis pregame show right here on ABC 24. It also streamed on 24 Plus. We're going to have inside information on the game. We're going to have the tailgating, the fan interaction, everything you need to know to get you ready for a huge matchup right there on Tiger Lane. We'll be there live at 9 a.m. We'll be back right after this. All right, it is time to talk Ole Miss football, and a lot of Ole Miss fans, right, wiping their brow after last weekend's game with Arkansas.
I just like how it seems to be a seamless connection between Ole Miss and Memphis. Like, Memphis gets Arkansas, a team that just played Ole Miss, just like earlier in the year, Memphis got Georgia State, a team that played Ole Miss. So, as usual, you can't not talk Ole Miss without bringing in this guy. He is the host of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, which you can catch on the 24 Plus app YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Mr. Stephen Willis, we got to give the clap.
Yes. Well, that one clap will work. Okay, that works. All right.
Yeah, I guess one clap is all we're
You know
doing
what I'm
today.
saying? I told you we got to start doing the Jackson Dart style. I mean, that's how they hike the ball. Clap.
Yeah, but you're not a quarterback, so we won't let that one ride. Steven, let's get right to it. Rich was there. You were there. How fortunate is Ole Miss to have walked away with that win after some of the mistakes in that game?
They were real fortunate to walk away with a win for all the mistakes in that game because, honestly, everybody, when Arkansas got that ball back, they thought, well, they're going to go down and score a touchdown, and they're about to win this game 42-41. That's what everybody was thinking. But the defense did stand up for that drive, a big 0 in the third quarter, and they played, I don't want to say perfect football offensively, but they did not make the fatal error over and over again, even though they were playing with a backup quarterback. I mean, he threw for 353 yards over the course of the game, over 400 yards of offense for Trinidad Chambliss as a backup quarterback. That's about as sterling of a debut as you can have. I mean, Arkansas is a good offensive team, as Memphis is likely going to find out this weekend. But I don't know if you can have your offense play that perfect of a game and count on that each and every single week, because they actually did kind of put it together that last weekend.
Well, I'm glad that you're talking about Trinidad Chambliss, because you remember, like, after the game, I texted you. I was like, I saw a lot that I like from that guy. So I gotta ask you, Stephen, is this a hot take? Do you think Trinidad Chambliss should be the permanent QB1 of Ole Miss? Because I think so.
Well, if he does it again, maybe. If he does the same thing he did against Arkansas, against Tulane, he will start against LSU. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind about that. But we need to pump the brakes a little bit on this. If people that remember, that are Ole Miss fans, remember Shea Patterson's debut at Texas A&M, to where he absolutely willed Ole Miss to a victory over Texas A&M. The next week, they went and got curb stomped against Vanderbilt.
Was good.
Yes. So let's pump the brakes a little bit. The notion from the fan base is there, and if my comments are any indication, right now the fan base really are excited about what they saw. Heck, I'm excited about what I saw. But I also know that Austin Simmons, save a couple of interceptions and one bad decision, he led Ole Miss back against Kentucky. Whenever he dug the hole, he led them back. So I don't know if we're at that point. I think we're at the point still where when Austin Simmons gets healthy, he's going to be the starting quarterback.
Don't you think it was crazy that Simmons threw a touchdown with one leg? Like, I remember they brought him in for a play, and he did a running play, and then he got hit. And I'm like, okay, why did you bring him in? Because now he's hobbling. They kept him in at the red zone, threw a touchdown on one leg, immediately leaves the game. I was like, okay, he's still trying to show he still got it.
Yeah, Stephen, let me get your take on something real quick before we go.
Okay.
So is it fair to say, though, and no shade to anybody, but Arkansas is not exactly known for their defense right now? You know, I talked to a guy from Arkansas today, one of the insiders, and he basically said, well, they can't play defense at all. And so, which you find sometimes with high-powered offenses, so much time, energy, and money is spent on the offensive side that maybe not as much effort on that defensive side. I think, to your point of pumping the brakes, I want to see that performance against a stout defense as well.
Yeah, Tulane has probably a better defensive team than the Arkansas Razorbacks. Not as good as an offense, but a better defensive team. They have a better offensive team than the Kentucky Wildcats. So if you put both of those together, Tulane might be better overall than Arkansas or Kentucky. This is going to be a test. I do think that Tulane is going to be the G5 team that makes the college football playoff this year. They look really good. I like Jake Retzlaff. This Tulane team is legit, and I think John Summerall, personally, I think he's an elite football coach. I think he's not long for the American Conference after this year. In fact, he could be in the SEC and Big Ten as soon as, like, December for John Summerall. So this is going to be a test for Ole Miss, but this is probably a test that Ole Miss can pass. I would say you don't need both quarterbacks for this game. Trinidad should be able to win it as it is, but you need Austin to be back for the LSUs. You need Austin back for Georgia. You need Austin back for OU. Those are the games that you need to be firing with all your weapons on offense, because one of these defensive coordinators, I mean, it's Kirby Smart, Brent Venables, and the LSU defensive coordinator, I forget his name. I apologize for that. But you got those coming up. They're going to figure out a way to scheme Trinidad Chambliss in order to take away what he does well. And you need to be able to have more than one bullet in your gun. Now, maybe, just maybe, Trinidad has everything. He can answer all the questions, but we just haven't seen that.
Oh, it's so much that you said right there that I want to unpack. First, let's hit on the American thing. You think Tulane is going to come out of the G5. I know a lot of Memphis fans ain't going to like that sentiment, especially Ryan Silverfield, because, you know, they hate Tulane. So I don't know about that one, Stephen. And I'm trying to take the bias out. I promise you I am. But, like, from what I've seen right now, I like Memphis as the G5 team. But, hey, well, I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? So
that's going to be a heck of a game.
I'll leave that one there. The second thing that you said, I do want to admit it. Like, I do think Ole Miss will get the victory. But, like you said, Ole Miss's defense has not really been showing up lately. They've been surrendering a lot of points, probably more than they want to, and they get into these lockdown, rock fight games. Eventually, it's going to go wrong for them. I think what's been the advantage so far is the home crowd. But Tulane is a team that wants to prove that they're battle-tested. So, especially, we talked about it with Memphis last week. Do you think playing, I guess, in quote-unquote, a lesser opponent, that this could potentially be a trap game for Ole Miss, knowing that their biggest game of the season at home is coming next week against LSU?
Yeah, potentially. This could be a trap game. Now, the good news is you have Tulane that has 2 Power 4 scalps already. They've already taken down Northwestern and Duke, and there's a chance that neither one of those teams are very good, but that is on their resume. And those were home games in Yulman Stadium down in New Orleans, probably hotter than the surface of the sun, all of that stuff. So I'm not sure if Tulane is up to the level to where they can genuinely threaten Ole Miss. I know that they're at the level that USF and Memphis and all those guys in the upper crust of the American Conference better watch out for. And Jake Retzlaff is kind of the dude. He really is. He's kind of like Taylor Green light. I also pointed out to like the announcer for Tulane whenever he came up and came on my show, I was like, the bad luck for Jake Retzlaff is Ole Miss just played against Taylor Green. And you've seen like an A-plus athlete at quarterback. Now we're going to see a B-plus athlete at quarterback. So Ole Miss's defense should be able to handle that a little bit better. But yeah, I really like this Tulane team. I think they could be really good. Now, I understand about Ryan Silverfield and Memphis being they think they can be there. And they might. And I believe they play each other. So we'll get to find out. But the tools are in place on that Tulane team, especially the coaching at an extremely high level. Ever since Willie Fritz was at Tulane, they just become the most fundamentally sound team that I see week in and week out. It's amazing.
All right, Stephen, we appreciate your time as always. Lots to unpack and, of course, some inside information that we love to hear. We appreciate you taking the time every time to hook us up.
Yes, sir, Stephen. We look forward to chatting it up with you this coming next week. Hopefully, like I said, biggest game of the season, Ole Miss, LSU. Hopefully both teams still have a 0 next to them. That's right on the losing side, I should say.
Yeah, don't forget you can always catch Stephen on Locked On Ole Miss, that Locked On podcast. The man is always on it, always on it. Appreciate your time once again.
Thank y'all very much.
All right, time for a quick break. When we come back, we got much more 24/4 right after this.
What up? And welcome to the 901 Bets. Think of this as sports betting for dummies right here in Memphis. Before we get rolling, quick reminder, if gambling has become a problem for you, hit that Tennessee Gambling Hotline, that number right on your screen, 800-889-9222. 9789. All right, y'all, time for today's Bankroll Basics. And we're talking about something with a little facial hair in the name. It's called a beard. Now, don't worry, we're not talking about my beard, or John Morant showing up with a new look, or even Penny Hardaway letting his chin beard go gray. In betting, a beard is someone who places a wager on behalf of someone else to hide the real bettor's identity. Why would you do that? Simple. Some sharp bettors, which are the folks who really know what they're doing, run into limits at sports books. So instead of placing a big bet themselves, they send in a beard to place it for them. So picture this, a sharp bettor wants to lay down a big wager on the Tigers covering against Arkansas, but the sports book already knows his face and caps him. He calls up a buddy, maybe someone in Memphis gear says, hey, put this ticket in for me. Boom, that's a beard in action. It's all about concealing identity and getting more money down without raising red flags. All right, now let's keep on moving along now with our bets from Bill. This one comes from my pal Rish. He's dipping into Heisman futures, texting me that he's threw some money on Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin and Oregon quarterback Dante Moore. Why does he think so? Well, I don't really know, but I could see where he's coming from. So let's talk about it. Let's start with Julian Sayin. Buckeye fans were told to temper expectations, but the freshman hasn't listened. He's off to a strong start, showing poise and playmaking well beyond his years. He handled Texas in week 1, then followed that up with back-to-back 300-yard games, tossing 7 touchdowns in 2 weeks. The picks are something to clean up, though, but with the bye before Washington, he's already proven he could be special. Now let's get to Dante Moore at Oregon. The redshirt sophomore is operating at an elite level, completing nearly 80% of his passes with 7 touchdowns to just 1 pick. He's spreading the ball everywhere, hitting deep shots, and leading a Ducks team that looks better than its number 6 ranking suggests. Now, would I personally throw some money on either? No, I wouldn't. And that's because I've already said on this program that I think LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier is the guy for Heisman. But right now, Moore is a pretty safe play. He's got pretty good odds at plus 1,300 and saying he's real let's get this bread play at 1,700. So, Rish, go for it. Anyways, let's get to our Bluff City lines. Memphis and Arkansas, big game, tough to bet. Now, my gut says stay away from the money line, so let's look at the total instead. The number set at 62.5, and I like the under. I know we're talking about 2 high-octane offenses, but hear me out. Arkansas games have hovered right around that mark, but Memphis games have stayed lower, averaging about 55 points. Both teams can score, but I just think with the defenses and the game flow and the crowd energy, that'll lend it all to suggest this won't turn into a full shootout. So my gut is leaning under 62 in this one. All right, let's move on down to Oxford with those hotty-toddy Ole Miss Rebels going against Tulane from Nolens. Now, I must admit, I'm getting sick of betting on Ole Miss spread. I am so close to putting them on my ban list, but they're 3-0 with 2 SEC wins. But that defense, as we talked about with Steven, looks shaky. Last week, they needed 41 points to get past Arkansas, and Razorbacks quarterback Taylor Green carved them up. Well, Ole Miss, they'll score, which is why I'm taking the over on their total points at 36.5, but stopping people is the question. That's why I'm leaning towards Tulane to cover that 10.5 spread in this one. So let's check in on my record. Last week, I went 2-1. I got the Memphis money line and the 3.5 spread against Troy right, but once again, I came up short on that Ole Miss spread. They did not cover the 7.5 line against Arkansas. So overall, I'm 5-4 on the season. So I'm over 500. Take that, Ruben. Always talking, man. You know what I'm saying? Put some respect on my name. We over 500. Anyways, as always, send me your takes. Now, if you have a betting terminology you're unsure of, send it my way. You want my opinion on a slip or a ticket you have? Send it my way. And man, if you even just want to spotlight your W, we will give you your flowers on this program because we have fun over here, man. At me on X at RD2Sports. Text the number 901-321-7520 or just use the hashtag ABC24Floor. But in saying all that, remember, folks, producer Jared, bring it up one more time. This content is for entertainment purposes only. ABC 24 and its affiliates do not encourage gambling. Viewer discretion is advised. Any betting decisions you make are solely your responsibility. We are not responsible for any financial losses or wins resulting from information presented on this program. That's all we have for you right now. Coming up next is the AP Top 25 Overrated. Woo, boy, I got a take on that because we got Say What after a short break.
All right, welcome back. It's time for this edition of Say What? And the Say What topic today is the AP Top 25 overrated? Say what, Rich?
Absolutely, it is. Because the biggest thing, my biggest pet peeve with the rankings is especially this week. Notre Dame has not won a game, 0-2, and is still in the rankings. In fact, now that we have the college football playoffs, why do we care about the AP rankings? In fact, one more thing, we had a woman, a young lady from Florida who is an AP voter who voted for Florida to remain in the rankings after losing the USF. She didn't put USF in the rankings, and she moved Florida up 2 spots after a loss. So that just put the nail in the coffin. The AP poll is overrated. I don't care about it. The only ranking that I care about in college football is the college football playoff.
Okay, so let me counterpoint that to you. And I will say it's not overrated. Here's why it's not overrated. It's a gauge. It's a gauge for the start of the season as you get to go. To your point, if the college football poll is what matters, then it shouldn't upset you that much if somebody's in the AP Top 25, because that's not where the college football playoffs come from, right? So what I'm saying is the AP Top 25 is a great gauge for you to be able to see where teams are at the current point in the season. Plus, there's 65 voters in the AP Top 25 at least. So what, one voter made that much of a difference?
I'm glad we have this full screen up because you see those numbers next to those teams. Those are the same numbers that we see every Saturday on this network on ABC when we're talking about teams. So those numbers come from AP.
Yeah.
I'm saying they should use the coaches poll because the coaches at least know more what they're talking about than these AP folks.
You think the coaches poll
is more important than the AP poll?
Less biased than the AP poll?
No, well, all right, you're going to get us into a whole nother argument.
Jared, can you take a look at this face real quick? No, bruh. The coaches poll is 1,000%
I
more
would
biased
much
than the AP
rather,
poll.
if we're going to wait until the college football playoff rankings to come out, I would much rather go off of the coaches poll at this point than the AP poll. Let's see you try to come up for what Haley Sawyer did, what she did.
I'm not Haley Sawyer, so I don't know what she was thinking.
So do you
all
think
I'm telling
she
you is, I will tell you what happens.
Tarnish the name of the AP poll,
What happens,
Ruben.
and the argument that people are going to make is they can't watch every game. So they'll go back sometimes to look at the scores and the stats, and if the game doesn't seem like a blowout, then you give a team a benefit of the doubt, whatever. The truth is, most of the time, AP voters vote in the region that they cover. So most of the time, you're only really doing educated voting on the teams that you normally watch anyway. The rest of the time, there's teams you don't watch. There's no way somebody's watching all of those teams and then making an educated vote. Instead, they're watching the teams in their region, voting as good as they can in that situation, and then voting based on other factors. Hey, I'll call my buddy. How did they do down there? You know, so you're calling another sportscaster who maybe lives in that area. You're looking at the stats. That's the reality of it. The coaches poll, totally different. The coaches are going to vote for their friends, their buddies, and themselves.
So why is Notre Dame still ranked and they haven't won a game?
Because they're Notre Dame. I'm sorry that you don't want to accept that.
You cannot accept. Why is Notre Dame ranked and they have not won a game?
I'm not saying I agree with it. What I'm saying is the prestige of them being Notre Dame and who they've been all these years is why they continue to get that advantage.
We are in week 4 of college
I'm just
football,
telling you what it is.
A team that has not won a game is ranked in the AP college poll that is on television, Ruben,
okay,
that supplies the numbers we see on our screens for telecast.
So you're saying that every poll is overrated?
No, the AP poll is overrated. That's to say what?
I'm saying,
oh my God.
You can say what all you want. But you're wrong on this one, brother man. You're wrong on this one. I hate to be the one to break it to you.
goodness.
That's going to do it for today's episode, 24th Floor. He's going to cry in the car, I promise you. Shout out to everybody who made today's show possible.
Especially producer Jared and our guy Brooklyn High for their work behind the scenes putting this show together. Big shout out to Frank Bonner with the Daily Memphian, as always. Our main guy, Stephen Willis. We always appreciate them on the show.
Good night, good day, good tomorrow, whatever you want to say. Either way, good, because I'm always right and you're always what? Wrong.